Guys, what is going on? My name is Jonathan. This is Comic Book Cinema. Today I'm joined by Mr. Jared Mayo, Hydro Man Rand, and Darren Michael. Today we have a really special episode planned for you guys, and it's simply titled, What Do You Think About? And the basic premise of this show is just me asking my three guests what they think about random topics, mostly comic book movie related, but we will venture out just a bit, just to have a little bit of fun here. We'll start off with Jared because I think this is going to be really funny. Jared, what do you think about the villain from Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, Nuclear Man?
I remember watching it in college with my roommate Eric, and it was just a horror show. It was just, I didn't know what this was that we rented from Family Video, but I never want to watch it again.
Oh, wow. You actually paid for it? It just wasn't on TV or something?
No.
Oh, wow.
We had a little TV. We sat it on a chair, and we watched it from our bunk beds. Good times.
And your life was never the same?
No, I mean, it's burned into me. I don't remember anything I did yesterday, but I remember watching that.
Hydro Man Ram, what do you think about Nuclear Man from Superman 4?
As a kid, that was one of the only comic book movies we had. So it was no Superman 3 with Richard Pryor, which was, the Dark Knight compared to Superman 4. But I mean, as a kid, I loved it. It's definitely a cheap canon film. When I watch it today, it's so bad. Luthor's nephew. Oh, that's just so bad. Oh,
Lenny.
But yeah, Nuclear Man's a pathetic villain.
How dare you, Hydro Man?
Yeah.
Darren Michael, what do you think about Nuclear Man?
So just to clarify, is this the one where Lex Luthor breaks in and they're in some museum and it's a piece of Superman's hair holding like a 3,000-pound or a 1-ton ball or something? And then, well, first off, how did they get Gene Hackman back for this?
That's a really good question.
He cuts it with like bolt cutters or some and
Superman's unbreakable hair gets cut.
Okay, sorry, I'm getting off on the tangent like we just talked about. But no, so yeah, that's what they cloned. That Nuclear Man came from Superman's piece of hair. Thing you need to know about that movie right there.
I'll just keep it brief, but I will say that growing up, my mom had that recorded on a VHS, and we didn't have much at the time. We had that, the first couple Batman films, Batman Returns, and Batman '89. And the first Superman film and the second. I never watched the third until really later in life. But that film holds a special place in my heart because it was one of the first superhero films that I can remember watching thousands of times as a kid. And, at the time in the early 90s, I mean, seeing Superman face off with a equally powered being was kind of a big deal to me. But, when you go back and watch those films, they're terrible. Anyway, next one. And we'll start off with Mr. Darren.
Oh, no.
Darren, what do you think about DC Comics and films?
Oh, wow. So, obviously I'm I'm one of the Marvel guys and all that. But no, I do enjoy DC. I don't follow it like I do Marvel. I am certainly well-versed in it more than most. Compared to your average Joe Schmo across the street, I still know what I'm talking about, but to a degree, books and the movies. I actually like some of the, I'm going to get in trouble for this. Some of the DC movies better than the Marvel ones. Mainly anything Snyder's involved with. The Justice League cut for me, or the Snyder cut. I was like, wow. And it's so long, but I was just like, it's just really good. I mean, it's very stylized and different from what we see in Marvel. Zack Snyder's a good director, especially when it comes to the action stuff. But not only that, he knows how to do the drama too. And I think he gets kind of like, a lot of people don't recognize that or hype that up as much as they're always like, oh, he's so stylish with the acting and all that. But he casts very well. That's another thing about him. He casts very well who's going to play his characters.
With the exception of Lex Luthor.
We don't know yet. We don't know yet. We don't know yet. I'll give him the benefit of the day. He's young. He could get older and be a cool Lex Luthor, but he's kind of a jerk in real life, I heard, or seen in YouTube videos with interviews and whatnot. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Marvel's my jam. It always will be my jam, but Batman's one of my favorite characters of all time, by far. I like the Green Lantern a lot.
Heck yeah. What do you think, Hydra Man?
Not against him at all. The Suicide Squad, James Gunn's version last year, really loved it. I thought it was great. I loved
Jared did too, I heard.
I love the Peacemaker. I think Peacemaker is one of my favorite shows from this year so far.
Yes.
I mean,
You know what?
that
Honestly,
was excellent.
Peacemaker is better than anything that's on Disney Plus right now, as far as Marvel.
I think it's better than, I mean, unless we're talking like Yellowstone, I think it's better than most television shows for me. I mean, like, I just, I
Yellowstone's so good, yeah.
In terms of the comics, I'm mainly a Marvel guy, but I've been reading, I've never turned down a DC comic if I had the chance to read it. One of my second favorite non-Marvel character is Grifter, who they picked up a few years ago. Really love that character.
Deep cut.
The other one is Hellboy. So I'm a Dark Horse guy too. So I'm fine with DC Comics. I really got back into them with New 52, in fact, because my big issue was always the lack of continuity. So being able to actually pick up and read something fresh and not have to have the continuity baggage or not understanding it, which I'm sure scared a lot of people off from Marvel for years. So yeah, I'm not against them at all.
And they made Aquaman cool again. Jared.
No, Peter David did that when he cut his hand off or got his hand bitten off by piranhas. That was a good story. Yeah.
Yeah. Jared, what do you think about DC Comics and films?
Yeah, I think I get a bad rap here, and I think I'm just misunderstood.
Yeah.
I don't care for the DC characters. I think that's what the biggest thing is for me, is that I never found them relatable. I couldn't relate to Superman and Wonder Woman and Green Lantern, like these characters they're almost invincible. Whereas the Marvel characters were much more down to earth. They, Hulk struggled with anger and Steve was a man out of time and Peter Parker had girl problems and homework problems. Like they were just always more relatable with the Marvel characters. DC Comics, yeah, but I mean, Marvel Comics right now, they stink too. So really comics as a whole, they're just kind of in a rough spot with where they are. The movies, I grew up with the Batman 89. I can probably quote large sections of that. Same with Batman Returns. Loved those movies growing up. I'm hoping that James Gunn maybe can right this ship the correct way, because for every good DC movie, there's 10 good Marvel ones, and then there's like 10 terrible DC ones. And I just, I didn't get into the Snyder Cut. I really tried. I gave my 4 hours on the couch watching it like this, begrudgingly trying to. But I will say, to finish it off, that when a DC movie is successful, it's good for all comic book movies. So I don't want them to, I've never been like, I hope that Flash doesn't make any money. I don't know how it will make any money, but I've never been like that. I want Black Adam to be successful and Suicide Squad because it's good for the medium as a whole.
Yeah, I'd rather see DC be successful than Sony, what they're trying to do with all this Spider-Man universe junk.
I agree.
Like, seriously, what they're doing there to Spider-Man's characters as villains and everything, like Kraven, a whole movie. Seriously, really, you're gonna have Quicksilver play him to boot? Come on, like this is ridiculous. Like,
they're making a movie about Madam Web, and initially I was not excited about that, like in the least, but I've heard the plot details a bit, and it's going to be kind of Terminator-ish, where they send someone back in time, and it sounds a lot more interesting now. I'm just going to say that I'm going to go into that, like I always try to do, with a clean slate. Haven't made my mind up one way or the other yet, and just give it a chance. But
so they're just going to replicate the Terminator and call it Madam Web, basically?
No, it's just they've taken a lot of inspiration from Terminator. Kind of like,
they've just taken the name from the comic book and ignored all the continuity and everything about the character and everything like that. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's funny that Jared mentions the character flaws with DC characters. I do agree to an extent. And it's almost like in the films, like, for example, Man of Steel, when they try to give these characters flaws, a lot of the fans push back a lot, like, because they want Superman to just be this happy-go-lucky Boy Scout all the time, And I understand that that's his character in the comics. He's kind of the Captain America type character, but it is really interesting to see those characters go through real struggles and have to make very tough decisions. And that's what I really enjoyed about Man of Steel, and that's why I like it. But a lot of fans didn't like it because of Superman having to kill the villain at the end of the film. And there was just a lot of dark, it was a very dark and gritty film, and he had to make a lot of tough choices. I digress. Personally, the DC Comics, same way with the Marvel Comics, I'm not a huge reader, but I like to read both. When it comes to the films, I'll agree with Darren, but even take it up a notch and say that there's almost, because you have to remember Sony and Fox. So for every Marvel movie, I would say there's almost a DC movie that's just as good, if you're counting Sony and Fox. Now, if you take away the Sony and Fox films, it's a different story. I'll give Jared that. All the MCU films, with the exception of 5 or 6, are great in that really, really good category. Now, the DC films, not so much. But like I said, if you mix in that the Fox films and the Sony films into that, batter with the MCU films, then yes.
Wait, are you saying if you mix the Sony and the Fox films into the MCU that... Wait, where are you getting at with this?
Dark Phoenix and Morbius are worse than any DCU film. That's what he's saying.
Well, yeah. Well, we know
he's
that.
Absolutely
There's still
correct.
a lot of good stuff going on with some of those Fox and Sony movies, though.
Don't forget about Wolverine, X-Men Origins, and all those type of movies.
Hey, that movie is so bad it's good. Don't give that way. That one's fun. That is a fun bad movie.
Yeah.
That is like the original Justice League cut.
It's
so bad it's good.
A can of RC Cola and a Hot Pocket and watch Wolverine Origins, you're going to be living the dream on a Saturday night.
Yeah, I still have the bootleg cut without the special effects in it. Love that movie. Yeah.
Okay, this one we're going to start out with Jared for obvious reasons. Whitney Houston versus Tina Turner in a sing-off, who wins? And then in an actual fist fight, who wins?
Oh, I mean, like Whitney Houston's voice, like that's like once in a generation. You can't. Oh my goodness, she's just amazing with her vocals. That is like, she sings like an angel. This is pre-cocaine. She could just hold a note forever. I remember in '93, her, Mariah Carey, and Tina were all nominated for Best Pop Vocal on the Grammys. Like, well, Tina has no chance. Whitney Houston won for I Will Always Love You. Like, how can you even compare? Now, in a fist fight, Tina's going to snatch that weave. Tina is going to snatch that weave. She's got the heels and the legs.
I can't believe you're saying that you think Whitney Houston is better than Tina Turner, Jared. That's almost sacrilegious for you.
You said vocals, singing-wise.
Yeah.
Who could tell me a singer that can out-sing Whitney Houston?
Freddie Mercury?
Not I Will Always Love You. Freddie Mercury cannot put down I Will Always Love. I mean, that song is just, and then other people try and sing it, and I'm just, no. But I mean, Tina in a street fight, she had Ike. She took Ike down. She's got wheels. She's got legs. Whitney's getting that weave snatched.
Wow.
What'd you think, Hydro Man?
I can't believe
I gotta agree with
Jared.
I think Tina. I think Tina is definitely a better performer, and I would 100 times prefer to listen to her music. I have a couple of her records. I'm not interested in Whitney Houston's music at all. It never really attracted me, but she is just a better singer. I mean, she's a better vocalist. In a fight, I think even at her age, Tina Turner could beat up a corpse. So I'm going to go with Tina Turner. So, yeah.
What you think, Darren?
Oh, wow. So much. Whitney, amazing singer. Her rendition of the national anthem at that one Super Bowl was amazing. And it's considered to be the best, I think, by people online that talk a lot. But when it comes just from a purely like performance standpoint, and then, I mean, Tina Turner's kind of ripped. like in some of the videos I've seen, like she's got heart and spirit, a little bit more heart and spirit, I think, in her performances than what Whitney had. For whatever reason. Sure, she was a great singer and amazing, one of the best. Like, how do you compare that? But Tina can work it. There, I said it. She can. I mean, she's a performer.
I think that Whitney Houston could out-sing Tina Turner in her sleep. Anyway, guys, we'll move on to the next.
We all agreed with you on that aspect.
Yeah.
That's what makes me so upset about this. I wanted to piss off Jared, but
that's not going to work.
I'm an honest man, Jonathan. If the question was like Hydro Man Rand said, if it was performance, oh my God. I mean, she's 70 years old on this crane running around with no handles, like jumping and swinging from the like nobody. Michael Jackson could not outperform Tina Turner.
Even Mel Gibson was terrified of her in Thunderdome.
Yeah, Anti-Entity is pretty impressive.
Yeah. Who would you cast? Who would you cast in a Tina Turner biopic, Jared, to play Tina Turner?
Oh, Angela Bassett again.
Yeah.
I mean, she still looks the same.
True.
She looks.
She hasn't aged in like 30 years.
That movie came out in '93, and then I see her in Black Panther, and I'm like, she looks the set. Her arms. Jennifer saw her arms on the show, and it was like, I want shoulders like that. Can Muscle by Mayo give me shoulders like that? It's like, I want shoulders like that.
Yeah. I'm going to say it right now. If I could fan cast Storm, I'm telling you this now, Jared, and we can't do it now, it would have been her. It would have absolutely been Angela Bassett as Storm.
Yeah, but she's a little old now, guys. I mean, she's not going to be able
she can still pull it off.
No, if we could fan cast Storm, it would be Tina Turner because she was an actress. She would have been an amazing Storm.
Yeah. She could pull it off too.
Of course, Angela Bassett could probably actually do an African accent, unlike Halle Berry, and I don't know if Tina Turner can. But
here's an interesting question: do you think we'll start off with Darren? Do you think that Disney are the best possible owners for Marvel?
No, well, hold on. Yeah. So I think as a corporation, from a business standpoint, they have the money and power to do it. But when it comes to any business or corporation, it's how you direct that business or corporation. And I think that's wherein lies the issue. I don't think it's like any singular focus of why some things are getting a little off track with Marvel when it comes to Disney. I just think that there's just, with the basis of like what we see in the news and the media and cultural and the stuff we see on social media all the time, those employees are going to have different views. So it's going to be a conflicting environment at how they're deciding on some of our properties. And that's why we see like, why is there this little woke slide in thing here? Or like, or, yada, yada, or like, oh, there's too many females suddenly they're just trying to, that's my issue. I'll leave it at that.
The best company to run Marvel would be Marvel. Any large corporation, I think, is their only concern is the bottom line at the end of the day. And especially for Disney, Marvel is a bottom line, right? It's one of the tentacles in their octopus. So I think a smaller company like just Marvel by itself would probably handle Marvel better, because it wouldn't be, of course, they're concerned about profit. Of course, they want to be profitable and stay afloat. But less heads that you have to approve everything through, I think, would make better art at the end of the day, because ultimately that is what they're trying to do, is create art. I think a less corporate and a less capitalistic expectation, not that I'm an anti-capitalist, I think that would be better for the art that they're making.
Wow. Hydro Man Rand said exactly what was on my mind. Like, I don't know how to, I guess I'll just jump into the history of, you look at Iron Man, Hulk, that was Marvel doing their own thing. Nobody's telling them what to do. Not only did
Iron Man 2 as well, though. Don't forget that was still that
absolutely
era.
It's still a good movie.
What really surprised me is that they went for both at the same time. They're like, let's film Iron Man and Hulk, and let's just go for it. Let's see what happens. And they went for it, and they got one that is a classic and one that isn't so much. And then they did follow up with Iron Man 2, but then they had Thor. And Thor's one of my favorites. And then they had Captain America. I mean, they did the whole phase 1 before the House of Mouse ever showed up.
Really, you can't say that Disney was technically involved in the first Avengers film, because they didn't really buy them until 2012, which is when it released, right?
Right. So they did the whole thing on their own. So if they would have just held on a little bit longer and said, no, I don't think we're going to be for sale. We're not going to be for $4 billion. We've got this good thing going. Let's see what's happened, because Disney has made over $40 billion just on the movies, the cinematic part. That doesn't even count, action figures and comic books and T-shirts and all that stuff. If they would have just held on, they could have had that success and not needed Disney to come in. I'm with Hydro Man Rand. Marvel is a tentacle. Star Wars is a tentacle. Like, they've got their tentacles, and Marvel is a cog right now.
I agree with you guys. I think Marvel should run Marvel. But when Marvel was running Marvel in the 90s with the comics, what happened?
Very good point.
Bankruptcy. What happened to all the artists in the early 90s? They went over, left, and then we get spawned.
They got screwed.
They didn't know how to run a business, unfortunately. That's just a fact of it.
Right.
And now, once they get going with the studio properties prior to 2012, with their movies and everything, they were doing great. And then they're like, all right, we got to expand. We got to do it make a smart business move. It's just, I mean, this could be argued across. I mean, I get it. I would rather have Marvel and the art and everything just that focused and stuff, but like all the money and everything they're bringing in. But that's a testament to people actually liking the Marvel characters. And
yeah, for the most
people
part,
in charge of Marvel realizing they need to expand their resources. And it's easy to say, okay, corporations, businesses, and things like that, but they're making it happen. They're making it. All I wanted when I was growing up was to actually see a Marvel movie with a live person. And I remember something leaked about James Cameron writing a Spider-Man script. You guys remember that? Like there's a whole script, and I was like, "Oh, it's coming, it's coming!" And then finally, when I saw the first trailer for Spider-Man, I was like, "This is awesome." I agree. It's important to stay true to your roots and everything. Man, the problem is Disney's making some terrible decisions. That's my only issue with them. They have the capabilities to do it right, and I've said that in past videos. But like, that's my concern. It's not necessarily how much money they're making or anything. It's how they're doing it.
I remember watching White Fang as a little kid, or I wasn't a little kid. I was like 9 or 10 years old on VHS, and the trailer before it was a teaser for the Fantastic Four, Roger Corman. And I searched for that until college to find it, and that because that's how desperate I was for a Marvel
Roger Corman
comic book movie. Because there was the Captain America one that I think Cannon did. I'm not sure who did it. It's actually the director of it just died. Who did the Captain America movie. I was desperate for a Marvel movie because before Fantastic Four, it was Generation X, made for TV movie, and it was the Nick Fury movie, which y'all have already talked about. So.
Yeah, but like, how fun was that for us when we were kids? Even though we look back on it now, how fun was that to see that stuff? And we, we just did that post the other day on the M6P about the Hulk movies back in the day and stuff. That was
that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
All
with
right,
J.D. Salinger.
Don't invite us to review that one.
J.D. Salinger? Is that his son? Right? Who played Captain America?
Matt Salinger.
Yeah.
Well, I also think too that the Marvel from the 90s that went bankrupt is very different from the Marvel of 10 years later. Because, I mean, they went bankrupt in 98. Yeah. So 10 years later, the Marvel of 2008, I really feel like they corrected that ship. They were going in the right direction. They had books like Civil War and Secret Invasion and all that stuff like had propelled the comic book industry. Then to give the backers, the financiers to say, okay, let's do these movies. And they were in the right direction. I mean, we can always play Monday quarterback. I'm with Kevin. Like, I just feel like they didn't need to sell when they did.
I think it's a double-edged sword, and no matter what, us fans are never going to be truly happy, and we're always going to complain, but yes, I think everyone has a great point here. I mean, you do have the corporate mindset that you have now currently with Disney, Marvel, right? That agenda gets put way ahead of everything else, like the things that us nerdy kids want, but at the end of the day, like, I can't remember who alluded to this. Maybe it was Darren, but at the end of the day, they were not great at running a business. Obviously. I mean, Marvel was on the verge of bankruptcy. That's why to this day, Spider-Man is owned by Sony. And I just absolutely hate that. For the longest time, the Fantastic Four, Ghost Rider, even Blade, all these characters, their rights were tied up with other studios. Finally, Marvel and Disney have acquired most all of them, except for that one Infinity Stone that's probably the most important, and that's Spider-Man. Maybe one day. Maybe one day they'll buy a Sony like they've recently bought Fox.
Well, Sony,
do they have the rights to actually make a Namor movie now?
No,
that's Universal. Solo Namor movie.
Okay, same with Incredible Hulk, right? They still don't have the rights to that.
Distribution rights. They can put him in their film.
Rights, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but just for distribution. So if they make a solo Hulk film or a solo Namor film, they have to let Universal distribute it and bring in all the dough.
Yeah. And that's why we haven't seen a Universal movie from about either of those.
Yep. Which is crazy too, because Disney owns the world. They could easily buy the properties of both of those, and they're just not.
They don't make the price for that. Yeah, Universal. Yeah, Universal's like, you know what? They're probably saying something crazy, like, give us a couple $2 billion, and sure, we'll give you the distribution.
Oh, sure. But I'm saying Disney could afford it. They're just like, we're not doing that.
Yeah,
we're gonna
Universal has all that bros money, right? That just came out. Yeah.
Oh, geez. Okay, guys. So, hey, thank you so much for joining me for this very special episode. Don't forget, to check out M6P Mayo and M6P Darren at the M6P.com and on YouTube at the M6P. And also, Hydroman Ran has a new YouTube show that he would love to tell you about.
Yeah, it's Hydroman Ran. Search for it on YouTube. I don't know if the first episode will be up by the time this is up, but my cousin and I are talking about movies and video games, one of each per episode. So check us out. See if we'll get better. We promise.
Thanks so much for joining me once again. It's always a pleasure, gentlemen. And until next time, have a great day.